Good evening, everybody. Thanks for kicking off your weekend with Milford TV as we bring you this week's edition of the Milford Informer. As always, I am your host, Tim Coet. It has been a busy week for us here at the studio as we've gotten our fall sports coverage in full swing. We also had a chance to collaborate with several town departments to put together the news items we have for you this week. Let's show you exactly what we have coming up tonight in our top stories rundown. Tonight, we'll update you on a presentation given at this week's Board of Selectmen meeting regarding the Spectra Energy Pipeline project. Also tonight, enjoy the first installment of a new series of monthly school updates provided by Milford Superintendent Dr. Kevin McIntyre. And later in sports, we look back on highlights from Week 1 of Milford football, and we also have full highlights from girls volleyball and boys soccer as both teams matched up with their Franklin counterparts. This week, a presentation was made before the Board of Selectmen providing information related to the controversial Spectra Energy Pipeline and the potential financial and safety concerns it could bring to the Milford community. Here now is a portion of that presentation.
Next we have Carolyn and Rand Barthel to discuss Spectra Energy Pipeline. And Margaret, you had some introduction as a Milford resident.
Thank you, Bill. I appreciate it. Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to be here and introduce Rand and Carolyn because I'm a longtime resident in Milford. I care about the town a great deal. I know I've only lived here 33 years, but I'm not a Milfordian yet, but I'll get there. But one thing I really like about Milford is that they always seem to do the right thing. And I think that Carolyn and Rand have been doing tremendous work, very grassroots based. They're fighting and dealing with a huge engineering project that's coming to our region. So they themselves are not from Milford, but they've been able to rally the troops in many, many towns. And I'm really asking people to give an open ear and to listen carefully to what they have to say, because I think they have good things to say.
Okay.
We're members of 350 Massachusetts, which is a statewide network of climate activists all over the state, from the Berkshires to the Cape. This is the Spectra Access Northeast project. This map is so large that it really looks like it's all one, the blue line is all one piece, but it isn't. It's actually two different pipelines. The one, there's the Q1 loop, which is east of here, and you are slated to be on the West Boylston lateral, which goes from Medway all the way up to West Boylston. The West Boylston lateral is a 16-inch pipeline. It would operate at 750 pounds per square inch, which is a very high pressure. These are the towns that are affected on the West Boylston lateral. The pipeline route goes through Milford. We have an evacuation zone itemized. Because of the 16-inch pipeline and the 750 PSI for the pressure, it's about 1,000 feet on either side of the pipeline that would be the minimal evacuation zone. So you can see the rough location of this. So now Rand will have a chance to talk about justification.
Okay. All right. So now I'm going to take you on a high-speed train ride through how this whole project is being justified at the state level, and basically, the basic argument is being made that that there is a need for new gas pipeline capacity in order to guarantee that we have adequate to generate electricity with in the wintertime. And so we're going to keep moving here. So the people, the institutions involved in this are the Department of Public Utilities and the pipeline companies, the major utility companies in the state, Eversource and National Grid, and Governor Baker. Until recently, the plan that all of those institutions had to pay for this pipeline was to, and we're talking $3 billion in total, was to have electricity ratepayers pay a surcharge on their utility bill, which would have affected everybody in this area. And that has been found illegal by the Supreme Judicial Court recently. And so as things stand now, Spectra, the pipeline company, is now looking for new mechanisms to fund this very expensive project. But you can be sure that they are looking for ways to get us to pay for it one way or another. So the actual problem, we do not actually have an actual shortage of pipeline capacity. What we actually have is an interval in the middle of the winter when momentary demand sometimes rises above what the pipelines can deliver at that moment. And that arises because we have a cold winter and our electricity system is very dependent on natural gas in the state. We generate 60% of our electricity by burning natural gas. This diagram gives you an illustration of how this works. What you see here is daily demand for gas, and this is actually for all of New England, sorted. This is the days of the year sorted by gas demand in decreasing order. And so, high demand on the left, those days actually are deep midwinter days. Low demand on the right. The green line that you see across there is the current pipeline capacity, combined pipeline capacity into the region. The overall Spectra project that we're talking about would basically raise that green line to the next graph line above it. And so the little toe portion over on the top left there represents the times during a year when it can happen that we don't have enough pipeline capacity to deliver the momentary demand. The large white, and you can see that if you raise the green line, it reduces that, but the large white region between the green line and the gray curve represents excess capacity, and that excess capacity will increase a lot if this is built. Studies that have been done, the independent studies, all point to a number of things that can be done instead that are all more cost effective than asking the region in one way or another to pay for a big new pipeline. Pipelines can leak, rupture, and explode. There was recently an explosion of a pipeline down, this about a week ago, there was an explosion of a pipeline down in New Mexico, which killed 11 people. It created a crater 80 feet long, 40 feet wide, and 20 feet deep. This happened back in April in Pennsylvania. Another of Spectra's pipelines. This one incinerated a house 400 yards away. Here's an example of an aerial view of an explosion zone in Texas, showing that the heat of these explosions is so intense that it melts the ground around it and incinerates everything for hundreds of yards around. So basically, this is an issue where local towns like Milford are being exposed to risks and will not be actually benefiting from any of this gas.
The pipelines are a step in the wrong direction. We really need to, we would have, in order to meet the Global Warming Solutions Act, we would have to shut down these pipelines. And once you've got a pipeline in the ground, nobody's going to want to turn it off. So pipelines will do everything they can to keep it rolling. And this gas, which would be exported, is going to go elsewhere. We all have one atmosphere. That's all we've got. This is it. There's no planet B. So what citizens can do, these are landowner issues when people are abutters, could be abutters. These are things that they have to be considered, need to consider, and they're being landowners. These are the kinds of rights that are available to them. What towns can do, you can create protective ordinances. And I've indicated this CELDEF, that's the Community Environmental Legal Defense Fund .org in Pennsylvania. The comparable organization up here is the Conservation Law Foundation. You can collaborate in multi-town coalitions, and you can also become interveners in the FERC process. Spectra will be submitting their application to FERC probably in November, although with the pipeline tax that just came down in August, that got killed, plus the fact that Enbridge is now going to be in the process of buying Spectra. It's going to be interesting to see whether if that changes the timeline or not.
Yeah, there's a lot of people speculating this is going to get pushed way out now.
Yeah, who knows? This is going to be interesting. There are a lot of moving pieces now.
Sure.
So this is our website, our Facebook page, email, and if you have, I have some information if you'd like to know more about intervening.
Milford TV has also enjoyed the opportunity to collaborate with the Milford school system over the last few months. First, it was new technology director Matthew Joseph, who over the summer launched a web series called MPS Talks, which keeps the community updated on a variety of school-related topics. This week, we were joined by Superintendent Dr. Kevin McIntyre for the first installment of what will become a monthly series of updates from the school administration.
Hello, my name is Dr. Kevin McIntyre and I'm the superintendent for the Milford Public Schools. The opening of school was successful across the district and we are off and running with many exciting offerings and initiatives. The new Woodland Elementary School was ready and opened on the first day of school for students. The building is spectacular and the classrooms and learning spaces throughout will support academic instructional practices that will meet the diverse needs of our learners. Principal Tim Kiernan and the Woodland faculty are doing an outstanding job implementing schedules and systems to ensure the school provides an excellent learning environment for all students. The building operates efficiently and students are safe and supported. We are planning a dedication of the new building on October 30th. Stay tuned for more details. I want to thank the Woodland Building Committee for their continuing work on this project. We also have 18 students enrolled in our first early college course at Milford High School in a partnership with Framingham State University. The title of the course is Biological Perspectives on the Environment and meets for 3 hours each week on Tuesday afternoons. We hope to expand our offerings in the spring. High school students and parents be on the lookout for more information coming in the late fall or early winter. Our technology infrastructure is in the process of being rebuilt and upgraded. The Milford Public Schools has shifted from a Class C to a Class A network, and by the end of the school year, our infrastructure will support a fully wireless environment in all of our schools and classrooms. Woodland and Stacy Middle School are currently fully wireless environments, and work is in progress at Memorial Elementary School and will be beginning shortly at Brookside Elementary School and Milford High School. This project is supported by local funds and the federal E-rate program. Shortly, we will begin deploying Chromebooks in each classroom at Woodland Elementary School, and we will be expanding Chromebook cart deployments at both Stacy Middle School and Milford High School. This is the next phase in our blended learning initiative. This past summer, we shifted to a Google platform, which involved a significant amount of training for our faculty and administration. We hope to see the implementation of new technology continue to support the learning in classrooms, provide opportunities for student research and collaboration, and increase our efficiency at the school and district level. In October, we will kick off our next long-range education plan process. We have a team of administrators, faculty members, school committee, and community members who will begin identifying priorities and developing a plan with input from the community. Please join us later in the year when we seek community feedback and input on this very important process. This will be one of many updates I will be providing throughout the year. Have a great week, Scarlet Hawk Nation.
Last week, students, parents, and community members flocked to the Milford High School football field, anxious to see the 2016 season debut for the Scarlet Hawks. Milford squared off against a familiar Week 1 opponent in Marlborough. Let's take you inside the field for full highlights from last Friday's game. A new season of Scarlet Hawks football kicked off at home last Friday night. The Milford fans filled the stands to capacity, hoping to see their team get off to a good start. The Hawks would once again open the season against non-conference opponent Marlborough. The outcome of last year's matchup was still fresh in the minds of both teams, with Milford getting a clutch field goal from Sean Lehane to complete a dramatic comeback that spoiled Marlborough's home opener. Would this year's game provide the same level of excitement? Marlborough would have the chance to open up on offense, and their first-year starting quarterback Evan Schmidline would waste no time getting his passing offense rolling. He would connect with junior Kevin Short on this 25-yard completion, immediately pushing his team into Milford territory. Schmidline would then connect with Connor McCabe down the far sideline for 11 yards, giving the Panthers another first down at the Milford 34. A costly holding penalty would lead to a 4th down and 11 from the Milford 35, and Marlborough would choose to go for it, but Schmidline's pass would fall incomplete thanks to good coverage from Josh Lagore, and so despite a promising drive, Marlborough would fail to score. First-year starter Matt Curran would then lead the Scarlet Hawks offense onto the field for the first time. It would be all running plays for Milford in their opening possession, but the Panthers' front seven was able to contain the Scarlet Hawks, quickly forcing the punting unit to come onto the field. But the return man for Marlborough could not secure the catch, and Brendan White was there for Milford special teams to scoop up the loose ball, giving the Hawks offense a chance to come right back onto the field. Milford would fail to take advantage of the possession, however, and the game would remain scoreless through the opening quarter of play. Milford would have the ball to start the second quarter, and Tony Mobilia would provide some excitement for the home crowd, taking the sweep all the way down the far sideline close to the Marlborough 15. But a holding call on Milford would wipe the run off the board, forcing Milford into a 2nd and long. Curran would then test out the passing game on the next play, and the result was not a good one for the Scarlet Hawks. Curran's pass would be picked off by the Panthers' Devin Ron, who would take the ball all the way back to midfield, setting up great field position for his offense. Marlborough was able to drive the ball all the way down to the 3-yard line, where eventually Abraham Garcia would take the toss and go untouched into the end zone for the touchdown. The Panthers failed to convert on a 2-point try, so the score would remain 6-0 Marlborough midway through the second quarter. Curran would start to get more comfortable in the passing attack on the next possession, sending completions to Harrison Bliss and Caden Kelly to push the Hawks close to the Panther 30-yard line. Later in the drive, watch as this throw goes right through the hands of Marlborough's Evan Doherty and right into the waiting arms of Tony Mobilia, who ends up taking it for the first down. Everything seemed to be going Milford's way on the drive, but on the next play, the Panthers would get good penetration into the backfield as they would sack Curran for a big 14-yard loss. Milford would eventually face 4th down and long, and so Coach Todd would send Sean Lehane onto the field, and the sophomore would drill the 36-yard kick through the uprights, cutting the Marlborough lead to 6-3. The score would stay the same heading into the second half, where Milford would get the ball to start. The Hawks would eat over 3.5 minutes off of the clock, but the drive would yield no points. A good punt by Lehane, however, would pin the Panthers inside their own 10-yard line as they made their way onto the field for their first possession of the second half.
Schmidline, the senior quarterback, he fakes the handoff and completes the pass deep down the far sideline. The receiver loose, and he will go in untouched for the touchdown. Kevin Short getting behind the defense, and he collects the pass and all alone goes untouched into the end zone. An 89-yard touchdown completion.
Both defenses would really clamp down as the second half went along, keeping the score at 13-3 until the closing seconds of the game. With the game nearly in hand, Marlborough would be forced to punt from deep in their own territory. A bad snap would fly over the punter's head and out of the end zone, giving Milford 2 points on the safety and giving the Hawks offense a chance to come onto the field for one final play with just 2 seconds remaining. Unfortunately for the Hawks, the snap to Curran would be low, forcing him to rush the Hail Mary throw down the field, and it would land incomplete. Marlborough would give the Hawks a taste of their own medicine as they came into Milford on opening night and beat them on their home field. The Panthers defeat the Scarlet Hawks by a final score of 13-5.
It was a tough way to open the season for Milford. The Hawks are back in action as we speak, taking on neighboring rival Franklin in the second of 3 straight home games to open the season. Once again, our cameras are present, so we will recap all of the action for you here on The Informer next week. Meanwhile, let's take a look at some of the other sports action Milford TV was able to cover over the past week.
Milford girls volleyball took on Franklin in a home match on Monday. The girls were eager for a rematch against the Lady Panthers after a very tough 5-set defeat at home against Franklin last season. The opening set of the match saw some wild momentum swings. Franklin opened up an early 8-3 lead, but the Lady Hawks would respond, ultimately taking a 24-21 lead. Franklin would deny Milford the set point, however, rattling off 4 consecutive points of their own to give themselves a chance to serve for the set. Coach Sakili's squad would show good resiliency, eventually pulling out a 29-27 win to take an early 1-0 lead. Backed by a strong service game from Ali Zagami, Milford would breeze through set number 2, taking it 25-15, putting them in position for the sweep. But Franklin refused to go down easily. The Panthers would take 7 of the first 9 points in the 4th set, and Milford was never able to make up the deficit. The Hawks would make it interesting, collecting 4 straight points off of the serve of Kyra Alves late in the set, but ultimately Franklin would hold on to take set number 3 by a score of 25-21. The girls came out refocused in the 4th, and once again it was the serve of Zagami that led the way. Up 17-10, Milford would produce 7 straight points off of Ali's serve. The Lady Hawks would close out the set, winning 25-13, and so Milford would indeed get their revenge. The Lady Hawks defeated the Franklin Lady Panthers by a final of 3-1, improving Milford to 2-1 on the season. Milford and Franklin also clashed on the soccer field this week as the Milford boys team played host to the Panthers in their home opener on Wednesday afternoon. The first half showcased a good defensive battle with shots on net at a premium. The first chance for Milford came off a corner kick just over 7 minutes in, with captain Marcello Pano trying for the redirect, but the ball hopped just over the net, denying the chance. With just over 13 minutes left in the half, Franklin would send a free kick deep into their attacking zone. The ball would deflect to senior striker Farley Asmuth, who would send a left-footed kick on net, but junior netminder Luke Capobianco was able to make the save for Milford. 2 minutes later, the Hawks' Carlos Torino would send a good feed to senior Pedro Sampaio, who would clear a defender before sending a good shot on net, but Frederick Beckman would make the save for Franklin, and the game would end up remaining scoreless through the first half of play. 10 minutes into the second half, Franklin's talented midfielder Hatim Brahimi would dish a great pass ahead to Farley Asmuth. Capobianco would come way out to the edge of the box looking to cut down the shot attempt, but Asmuth would send a tapper right past the Milford goalie that would roll into the wide-open net, giving Franklin a 1-0 lead. The score would remain the same into the closing minutes when Asmuth would get ahead of the Milford defense, forcing Capobianco to once again come far out to defend the shot. The Milford goalie would end up making contact with Asmuth, and the referee would call for a penalty shot. Asmuth would come through on that penalty shot, giving the Panthers a commanding lead with just over 2 minutes to play, and Franklin would go on to defeat Milford by a final score of 2-0.
And remember, you can find full game coverage for each of those games over on our educational channel and on YouTube. And now let's get to this week's upcoming events.
Coming up on Sunday, the town of Milford will be holding a town walking tour. Residents can meet at Memorial Hall at 2 p.m. and enjoy a scenic and historical walk along Main Street to Draper Memorial Park and onto Sacred Heart Church. Information on Milford's various historical buildings will be provided during the walk. Again, the Milford Walking Tour will take place on Sunday, September 18th, beginning at 2 p.m. On Wednesday, the Milford Town Library will be holding an event titled Foliage Detective. The event will feature author Marjorie Turner Holman, who will be on hand to discuss some of the best ways to get out and enjoy New England's colorful fall foliage. The event takes place on Wednesday, September 21st, over at the Town Library, beginning at 7 p.m. The event is sponsored by the Friends of the Milford Town Library. And coming up next Friday, the Milford High School softball team will be holding a home run derby competition. Teams of 2 will participate in bracket-style competition as they try to launch as many long balls as they can in 10 outs. The competition welcomes any player age 14 and up to join in. The home run derby will take place on Friday, September 23rd at the MHS softball field. Registration begins at 4 and the competition will begin at 4:30 p.m. There is a $40 registration fee per team of 2, and there will be cash prizes handed out to the first and second place teams. For more information, you can contact Steve DeVito by sending an email to sdevito@milfordma.com.
Next week on the Milford Informer, we will recap one of the most anticipated fall events in town as Milford Regional Medical Center Auxiliary hosts its annual Taste of the Towns. We hope you will join us again next week. Until then, from all of us here at Milford TV, this is Tim Coet saying have a great week. So long, everybody.